Hey, you see this video? Yeah, I made this video, and in this video, I reached the conclusion that Dream was more likely to win the $100,000 Mr. Beast duel. Not because he was significantly better than Technoblade at PvP in any particular version of Minecraft, but because he would do better under pressure. Ultimately, in my mind, the battle would be won by whoever held the mental high ground for the longest, and to me, Dream was better suited for that task. He was, as far as I saw it then, more prepared to endure the pressure because, well, being good under pressure is part of his brand. Dream is known for insanely clutch plays in Minecraft manhunts and tournaments alike, so it was this factor that led me to believe that he'd be the one to come out on top. But what I failed to consider was that the high ground didn't matter, because, well, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And you know who didn't fail to consider that? Technoblade. Technoblade didn't fail to consider the importance that the mental aspect of his physical duel with Dream would play. As a matter of fact, he was all too aware of how Dream intended to truly win, by taking key rounds early on to mentally fatigue Techno until his resolve to fight withered away and left for the never-ending void. Dream and I were thinking roughly along the same lines here. Dream's strategy of testing Techno's confidence, putting him under pressure, and trying to stress him out by winning key matches in Techno's home version of the game was what might have been enough to win the day and help decrease Techno's enthusiasm for the fight, thus decreasing his willingness to fight. Except Techno never had any enthusiasm for this fight. Or any, really. He is the perfect image of a reluctant soldier and a regretful conqueror. Technoblade was extremely resistant to the idea of the $100,000 duel at first, and the end of my last video offered some additional reasons as to why he might be. However, my assumption that Dream could get inside of Techno's head and stress him out was flat out wrong, to say the least.
Now, Dream actually wanted the first duel to be in 1.8, although it was decided by coin flip, but I'm thinking his reasoning was that he's done a lot of training in this mode, so he's probably thinking, like, if he can beat me in the first round in my own game mode, I'll become super stressed and then play worse and lose by a lot.
Dream couldn't get inside of Techno's head to stress him out because Techno was already in there, inside of his own head, stressing himself out, because
unfortunately for him, that's my secret captain, I'm always stressed.
So in this video, we're going to be exploring why Technoblade won the duel. Not how he won the duel, because both Techno and Dream have already analyzed their rounds of combat and the physical competitive strategies that they both used. Dream and Techno have already shown us how Techno won. What I want to know is why. I want to know why Techno was the fighter better suited for victory, from a perspective that transcends beyond just mere PvP skill and extends to the invisible, four-dimensional chess game that Dream and Techno were playing before, during, and even after the fight. I want to know why Technoblade never dies. Once upon a time, Dream asked Techno if they could do a collaboration.
You saw the video. I was telling them that, like, I told you we had to postpone the collab.
But Techno didn't answer. He was too busy farming potatoes.
Well, for the record, my first thought when you said that was like, oh, okay, he doesn't seem like he really wants to do a collab.
Embittered, but not really, Dream sought revenge, and soon he found the perfect way to do so. The Technoblade vs. Dream rivalry really only began when Dream joined Minecraft Championships, and that rivalry really only began in Minecraft Championships because Dream instigated it. When Dream and company arrived in MCC, he made it all about Technoblade. That sounds ironic considering their sub counts and their viewers' perception of them, but the irony of it doesn't make that fact any less true. Dream hyped up a legendary battle between himself and Technoblade, but Techno did not do that. Dream woke up bright and early in the morning to tweet out pictures of bacon, and in response, Techno did not do that either, although I'm sure there was a green eggs and ham joke to be made somewhere on his part. And when Dream practically genuflected, down on bent knee for Mr. Beast to finally help him realize this final battle in a 1v1 environment where the only competitors would be himself and the Blade, Techno dragged his heels in the mud. Or rather, his hooves, because, you know, he's a pig and all that. But anyways, I think you get where I'm going with this. Dream wanted this fight to happen. Techno didn't. Not really, because again, just like we discussed last time, there was so much more than money at stake. And this fact was what probably led a lot of people to assume that Techno wouldn't win the fight, because it seemed like Dream's provocations for a duel were being unreciprocated by Techno. So a lot of people went in assuming that the more confident and braggadocious Dream would come out on top, simply because his belief and conviction that victory was assured would make it so. If Techno didn't want the fight, he definitely didn't want the pressure associated with the fight, and so the assumption was that Techno would do worse under that pressure that he so desperately spurned. But if that was the case, then why would Techno insist that the duel be fought in 1.16 only? If he really isn't that great under pressure, then why would Techno adamantly insist on disproportionately increasing the pressure that the duel placed on himself and himself alone? Essentially, conducting their battle exclusively in 1.16 would make the duel harder for him, but not for Dream. 1.8 PvP seems to be well suited for Techno, and not just because of his history with it. Techno and Dream actually share a surprising number of similarities with the versions of the game that they main. 1.8 has a lot of long-distance fishing rod tactics, and it might start off seeming slower and more methodical, but up close it's a flurry of fast-paced tactical decisions and sword-swinging strategy, just like Techno, who seems monotonous on the surface, but deep beneath is alight with passion and fury that isn't expressed in his vocal tone. 1.16, meanwhile, is much like Dream. It favors broad, boastful, and hard-hitting attacks with axe crits while ducking and weaving from out behind your shield, just like Dream's larger-than-life personality online juxtaposed with his guarded personal life, obscured behind a veil of anonymity. Yet, for this duel, Techno was willing to forsake the game mode so closely intertwined with himself, his history, and his personality, just to play Dream's game on Dream's terms. So, it isn't that Techno does worse under pressure, not at all. It's that he rarely ever shows the true weight of the pressure he's under. When he does, it's usually through a bit of deadpan humor played for laughs. But no one really understands the pain of the blood god, and no one appreciates how much of his own blood he's shed to get to where he is today. Take the Bed Wars win streak, for example. Technoblade won 1,400 games in a row, dominating every opponent in his path. He was untouchable, and that's a hard thing to be. In fact, the way he ends the streak is very indicative of the stress it put him under. After a while, the conquest became senseless to him. All the effort he had expended to assemble his team and hone his own skills to perfection wasn't worth feeling as if he had to wait hours for his crew to come online to even play at all. It wasn't fun to enter every match feeling anxious about the outcome just so he could make an already outrageously large number go up by one singular point. But the pressure of the win streak went unnoticed by many. People just assumed that Techno would keep on winning, and ironically, by trying to end the streak in the manner in which he did, it seemed to cement the impression that if he hadn't relinquished his title, Techno's reign would have been eternal. Because Technoblade never dies. And the same thing happened to Minecraft Mondays. It was just assumed that getting teamed with Technoblade was an automatic win. More people than ever took up the cry of blood for the blood god, spanning across live streams and comment sections of all those who stood in the Pig King's way. The mention of Techno's name sent shivers down the spines of Minecraft's most hardened veterans and inexperienced rookies alike, eventually leading to Techno winning 4 tournaments and consistently dominating the individual leaderboards. Because Technoblade never dies. So when Dream did the unthinkable and beat Techno consistently in every game he could have during his first Minecraft championships, the message he sent was clear. You want to keep your crown? Come and get it. And so, really, Techno winning is the only ending that ever made sense for this duel, because when Dream told him to train for another 1,000 years, he never expected that Techno would actually go and do it. But he probably should have, because while Dream was plotting for revenge and speedrunning YouTube and churning out videos at an unheard of rate to keep pace with the algorithm's lofty expectations and assumptions, Technoblade was too busy farming potatoes, and that's why he won the duel. That's why Technoblade never dies. Nothing sums up Technoblade better than the Great Potato War. Nothing. And if you disagree, well, consider the following. Technoblade spent 12-hour days farming, analyzing game mechanics, strategizing, planning, plotting, scheming, memorizing sleep schedules, managing a select rotation of goons, sabotaging, and manipulating his opponent, a random player Techno had never previously encountered, by the way, to become the #1 harvester of the literal most arbitrary farmable food item in all of Minecraft. And he did this for 8 months. During that time, Techno's channel was mostly quiet. His days were spent farming, and with a work ethic that terrified all that momentarily glimpsed his madness. For all the Hamilton animatics about Techno's friends Wilbur and Tommy, it's ironic that no one has considered how well Technoblade fits within the context of Hamilton himself. At the end of Act 1, after learning that Hamilton wrote 51 essays, more than double what his entire group was supposed to finish together in the span of 6 months to defend his fledgling nation's constitution, Hamilton's friend then rival Aaron Burr screams at him in what can only be described as fear.
And yet when I won the war, I had a lead of over 88 million potatoes. 8 hours of farming per day. I averaged 11. He is but a puppet, and I, the puppeteer, dance, potato boy, dance! So anyways...
Hamilton never answers this question. Techno doesn't either. Neither of them have to. Techno devoted himself to the potato war because he could, because he wanted to. And although John Wick, the popular character from the Fortnite franchise, is more frequently described as a man of sheer focus, dedication, and will, it's not such a stretch to describe Technoblade in much the same way. When he truly dedicates himself to something, he's going to outwork anyone and everyone else. So, while Dream was analyzing YouTube's algorithm to maximize subscriber gains, Technoblade was analyzing Hypixel Skyblock's algorithms to determine the maximum potato yield he could net to win yet another worthless war. And that's why he won the duel. Dream told Techno that he would need to train for another 1,000 years to defeat him. And unfortunately for Dream, he challenged the only man alive who could actually do it. Because if Technoblade did nothing but farm potatoes for 8 long months to squash beef with someone he didn't know, then he could easily fit 1,000 years worth of training into a few short days to defeat someone that he did know. Techno straight up outworked Dream. That's all there is to it. Both of them put their all into this duel. Both of them put in long hours, both of them trained furiously, but only one of them was insane enough to go the distance, to unintentionally strip the bark off of logs as an intimidation tactic, and master the ancient jutsu of cursed crafting tables, just to come out on top. And that person was Technoblade. Hey, you see this video? Yeah, I made this video, and I made it for Technoblade. When the first of the Minecraft Mondays premiered, I was watching Call Me Carson's stream at the time, but I was immediately enraptured by the murmurings of a bloodthirsty, unstoppable pig lurking in the shadows of the tournament. When Technoplane swooped down from above to deal swift justice with the power of pay-to-win during MCU, I was right there with him. When the Pink Parrots rebounded and rallied to take Minecraft Championships number 8, I was on the edge of my seat, both of my brothers perched on either side of my chair, watching over my shoulders. When they won, we all jumped out of our seats and literally started shouting, and when Techno won the duel, we did the exact same thing. And in the frustrating aftermath of MCC number 7, when Techno mentioned in passing that his mom had texted him to tell him that she was still proud of him, despite his loss, I was watching. Because that moment was the moment where I learned why Technoblade never dies. Technoblade has embarked down an extremely unconventional career path, and he's taking a very unconventional and anti-algorithmic approach to it. On some level, albeit a more limited one, I understand what it's like to get those kinds of texts from family. They're trying to understand, but they can't. Not really. And because of that, even when they tell you they're proud of your accomplishments, it's hard to believe them, because if they don't understand what you've done or the significance of it, how can they appreciate it or express their pride? So you're just left feeling constantly unfulfilled, because you can never be satisfied. It's not enough to be satisfied. Technoblade is always stressed because he's always carrying the expectations of his friends, his family, and his fanbase with him at all times, and in some way he's probably going to be letting down any one of those groups at any given point in time. You can't make everyone happy, I guess. So I made that initial Techno and Dream duel video because I was worried that Techno would be the one to feel the pressure of the duel the most, and the most acute. After all, Techno's audience, myself included, seemed to take his ability to just flat out win for granted the most. The Bed Wars win streak, his domination of Minecraft Mondays, and his status as a 2-time MCC victor put an entirely unique set of expectations on him entering into this fight with Dream. And unlike Dream, Techno doesn't have a constant stream of content output to fall back on. So I was worried that losing would hit him harder, and that even agreeing to the duel in the first place was harder for him than it was for Dream. Because the way I saw it, even if Dream lost the duel, he'd still be considered one of the best players the game had to offer, and I was right about that at the very least. But if Techno had lost, he stood to lose more. His uploads are infrequent, but when they do come, people expect him to win, to excel, to succeed, because that's what Technoblade has always done in the past. That expectation, all of those expectations really, only serve to make winning harder for Technoblade, and that's why I made this video. I wanted people to notice that and ease off of Techno, because I wanted everyone to see through his satiric deadpan and realize that despite his defeats and failures and dry spells of content, he really is trying his hardest to be what everyone wants him to be, and that Technoblade is only human, just an ordinary man, struggling under the weight of being called a god.
I've realized now that rank number 1 isn't an achievement, it's a prison, which forces you to dedicate your life to defending a temporary title.
But Techno isn't human. He's no ordinary man. He's a pig, and a bona fide blood god at that. And he is those things because he chooses to be them. Technoblade never dies because He straight up refuses to. He can't afford to, not when everyone is counting on him. He doesn't have to carry everyone's expectations, but he does anyways. He chooses to. He has made the expectation-laden moniker of Blood God his own and accepted the pressure that comes with that title unconditionally. It might be stressful for him to bear those expectations, but bear them he does, albeit reluctantly sometimes, but always with an ironic sense of pride, as he's only amassed these lofty expectations because of his past track record of success. It might hurt sometimes, but he can take it. He's strong enough to, and over the years he's only gotten stronger, growing acclimated to the weight of the world, of his world, which he's placed squarely on his own shoulders, of his own volition. Technoblade never dies because he's the one who puts in the work, logging insane hours of Minecraft and putting forth insane amounts of effort, because he trains and grinds and struggles to achieve victory. And if he ever falls short, then you can be sure that he'll come back stronger than ever to remind everyone exactly who he is and exactly what he's capable of when he sets his mind to the task at hand. Or the task at hoof, because, you know, he's a pig and all that. He might have to take his time, or take some time off entirely. He might have to spend his entire day right-clicking virtual vegetables, or rise through the ranks of a version-specific PvP server, or train for 1,000 years, or win 1,000 games, and he might get knocked down, but he'll always get back up. Always. Because Technoblade never dies. And that's why in my last video I said that even though I thought Dream might win, I'd still be rooting for Techno, because ultimately, what I respect the most is Techno's resolve, his sheer willpower that's helped him overcome so many obstacles in his life. That resolve has been what's kept him going, urged him onward, and pushed him to step up and accept the monumental pressure of just being Technoblade, and given him the strength to keep on fighting. And that's why Techno won. And that's why I was wrong. Because Technoblade never dies. And now, I know why. I hope you do too. What is up, guys? I'm Frostbite Freeman, and I wanted to thank you for watching yet another video essay about the duel. It's the last one, I swear, but this video wasn't supposed to exist. Don't get me wrong, I'm so glad that it does, but the original duel prediction video essay was supposed to be followed by an analysis of Dream's YouTube strategy, with his victory in the duel mentioned briefly at the start. I guess that's what I get for not truly believing in Technoblade, because, you know, the Pig King really threw a monkey wrench in my plans, but if it wasn't already clear, I see a lot of myself in him. That sounds really arrogant and entitled, but I know that if I was in his shoes, I definitely would have choked that fight. I'm glad that Techno didn't choke, though. He deserved the dub. Because, well, you already know the bit for this video. Technoblade never dies, blood for the blood god, glory to the blade, yada yada, and etc. Anyways, that Dream video is still coming up, so if that interests you, then hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay up to date with all my newest video essays and other content. This Dream video is going to be seriously huge for me, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I did read an entire book for it, so, you know, as they say on TikTok, don't let this flop, whatever. Oh, also, I have an Instagram and a Twitter now, too. Links to those in the description. I'll be posting way more frequent video updates and stuff on there, so be sure to check it out if you're interested. But that's going to do it for now. I'm Frostbite Freeman, and until next time, stay frosty.